Hi everyone, this is the E-mini Nasdaq. I'm using a 1000 tick chart and a 21 EMA. Today is Sunday, but I didn't make a video on Wednesday the 3rd, so that's what I'm going over today. This is Wednesday. And so starting off, I started trading at 8 Central Time, which is this area right here. I've got my overnight high up here, overnight low down here. These are our key levels for the day. So you'll see that I have these two legs down here, but notice how at first we have this downtrend and then a break and a push to a new low. Now when a trend plays out, you can expect price to attempt to reverse, and of course playing out is when it has a break and a new extreme. In the case of a downtrend, a new low. And so when we rush above the EMA right here, we want to see a reversal pattern, a failed second entry holding above the EMA, but in this case here it just forms two legs up with no entries on the way up, and then it just starts pushing down. So at this point, when it's pushing down here, it's failing to reverse. So this trend having a break and a new low was not enough for it to reverse, and we push lower here, and what it's doing is it's forming a bigger picture leg down. So now this break and push to a new low is included in that bigger picture leg, and so we start making that second leg down. And then like I said, I started trading right around here, 8 Central Time. We find resistance at that previous swing. We attempt to reverse here because even if we held right here, even though the even though the measured move wouldn't be met at that point, we can still get a reversal pattern. You still have two legs down. If you form a good reversal pattern, as long as you have room to this trend line here, then you can still look for a long. But in this case, it doesn't form a setup. It just quickly pushes back down after barely getting above the EMA here. And so when we break out of the overnight low, price immediately starts attempting to fade. We push out, it nearly reaches that measured move, but clearly this range was fading. It was strong enough to bring price to it before reaching that measured move. And when we push up, it starts getting a little bit choppy. We close back in, and then finally we push back up a lot stronger. We form this higher low. Now it is just a higher low. I would want to see two legs back, not just a first entry. It's not like it's a failed second entry on the other side of the count either, so there's really just no reason to go long right there. But we push on up here, we have this uptrend, and then we get a break. So two legs back, nearly met the measured move, and we're fading back in. And so this really is a great place to look for a reversal. We push up, we get a leg back, push up, and another leg back. So at this point, we do have a failed second entry here. Now, this is a smaller picture, I want to say it's a smaller picture entry for a bigger picture setup. So you see we have first entry short, second entry short, failure. Now I know that we could make a second leg back like that, but we're holding on the EMA right here, and we still have room to the highs of this range that we're going into. And so I like it for 1-to-1 right here, but you do have to consider that you have this wider trend line in play. So if you do get a bigger picture setup, you still don't want to enter right into that. And then right after here, we push down a little bit before that measured move, right at that high right there, we push on lower here. So now we have the big picture setup because we have a push up, two legs back, it's still holding on the overnight low. Again, bigger picture context, two legs back, we can expect an attempt to reverse. Now, again, this trend line is blocking the way here, so you would need a limit order in this case in order to get out before the trend line. Now, I don't know if you saw this, but in real time, when this bar right here opened and then ticked higher, it just took off immediately. You can see that you would not have been able to get filled on a limit order, but even if you tried to enter with a stop order, you likely did not get filled because when it ticked higher here, it was up here within 1 second. It just shot on up, and then it continued to finish this whole move in like 2 minutes. So it just took off too fast to get in there. But anyway, we push on up right here. This reversal pattern, it did end up pushing on through this trend line. As you can see, we push on up, no longs on the way up, and then we reach the overnight high right here, get a little bit choppy, and then we break out. Now, when you break out of an overnight level or a range level, you cannot just immediately buy the breakout. If you want to buy the breakout, you have to wait for two attempts to fade. Second entries, they form all over the place. It's how the market moves in pairs of twos. So you want to wait on two attempts to fade. That way you can, be safe on the breakout because you already have two attempts to fade. So if you get two attempts to fade and it doesn't fade, then it's a failure. And so you want to enter on the fade failure. Now when we start pushing lower here, we only get this one attempt down, and of course, as you can see, it does fade back in. Now, if you do successfully fade back in and you push lower, you can get a couple attempts back and make a reversal pattern because sometimes what you'll see is price will push back in. I'm going to move this aside for a sec, and then you'll get a couple legs back. And so if you get something like this, you break out and then you fade back in and get 2 legs back, you would have uptrend, break, first attempt higher, second attempt higher, and then you can look to enter on the failure. And so you'd have the reversal pattern, but you'd also have confluence with this uptrend playing out. And so that's what I was looking for as we pushed back in here, but it very quickly just shot back out. So when it shoots back out like that, same thing. You just want to wait for 2 attempts to fade so you can look to get in on the breakout, but we only get this one first entry here. It doesn't even reach the EMA. We continue up here, clearly forming a 2-legged move here. We start finding resistance here, going sideways. I don't like anything in here. It's just really sideways. And then when we push lower here, you can see there's a couple legs down. It really is forming this kind of wider trend thing, but you can see that there's 2 legs down here, but you don't want to enter right into that trend line. Plus, it was getting very choppy right there, unable to get back above the EMA. And so I wouldn't want to enter right into that. It starts getting choppy, but it does push on up and reach that measured move here. Now, this thing right here I want to show you is that even though you have 2 legs up right there, on a bigger picture, this is clearly 1 leg. It's a very thin separation. Clearly, it's 1 move up. And then eventually we get a 2-legged break from this leg up right here. But we'll get into that in a sec. So as we reach this measured move, we start finding some resistance. When we reach it right here, we push out, attempt to fade, but the EMA holds. It's just a first entry, so you don't want to take any longs, but also you don't want to take any longs right into that big measured move level. But anyway, we push on up here. It's getting a little bit choppy and sideways. Now, it's very common to get a reversal pattern at measured moves. And so if we push lower here, we can get a failed second entry and look to get short right there. So when we push lower here, it'd be good to get a couple legs back, but it just doesn't happen. It just pushes on down, very bearish. Now, clearly, like I said, this is 1 leg on a bigger picture, and now we have a break. So, it doesn't have very good lows to draw here, but clearly you have 1 leg up right here, a break. And when price rushes above the EMA here, price is attempting to make a new high. And so if you rush above with a failed second entry holding above, that would be the most ideal setup in this case right here. Nice rush above, 2 legs back, holding on the EMA, looking to make a new high for this uptrend, but it just doesn't happen. It just has a sharp push up and then another very sharp push down. So when we have this push down right here, it's clear to see you're just getting a 2-legged break, a 2-legged move breaking out of this uptrend. You can still look to make a new high. So when you rush above right here, it's not good to just buy there. Even though it's bullish and you have 2 legs back, it didn't reach the measured move, and it's not off of any other support. So it's really just not ideal. So we push on up here. Again, you can get a failed second entry. In this case here, you just don't get it. It just goes sideways. And then, when we push lower here, that's when this trend line is very clear. We got this trend line working down right here. Now, if we push through, and get a couple legs back, there wouldn't be much room to make the new high, but there's still enough room for something if you push out and get a couple legs back, but it ends up holding on it there, and then we get this first leg down and then second leg down. And so there's clear support right there. You're holding for a 3rd time, but considering that this measured move is still in play and you could easily just tick higher and attempt to reach it, I wouldn't want to take that, especially when it's 1 under the EMA and also into this trend line right here that's clearly in play. It's clearly holding. It held another time there. So I absolutely would not enter into that. But then here, when we get these 2 legs up right here, so basically we just had uptrend, a couple legs back, and then 2 attempts higher, and it's just holding on this range high right here, forming a triple test. Basically, it's just failing to make the new high. And so when we get these couple legs back up, very sharp reaction. It's barely closing back under this trend line right here. I do like this for 1-to-1 a whole lot. Just a couple ticks out of this trend line right here. This is the NQ, so the ticks are a lot smaller than on the ES, but that's not very far out, and especially given it's clearly not wanting to reverse. This trade looks great to me. So anyway, push on lower here. I thought I was going to be done at this point, but then when I saw this setting up, I remember quickly, scrambling to do more analysis because I was wrapping up for the day. But anyway, so push on lower here. we get a couple legs down. After those 2 legs down, price attempts to reverse higher, very typical. No setup for it. You don't want to enter right into the, that previous trend line. It was, when you're expecting a reversal higher and then you get a failure setup, you do not want to immediately just go long again. And so anyway, we push up a little bit, have a sharp push down. Now, at this point, price fades back into the overnight high, and then we get this leg up, and then a second leg up. Now, with these 2 legs up right here, this would have been a great place, we could have gotten a small short with a push below, a small failed second entry with room, but we could have pushed lower here and gotten a bigger picture, failed second entry. Of course, it's at the very end of the day, and I was well done at this point. Right when this was done, I was completely done for the day. But, that's technically what could happen. You get a couple legs back, rush below, get a small one with room, or if it just keeps on going, you can get a bigger picture reversal pattern, actually fading back in. So anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Hope it helped out in some way, and thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time.